By 1917, Europe was exhausted. Trenches, ruined towns, grieving families, and armies trapped in endless war for years. For years, the Western Front barely moved, while artillery, disease, mud, and hunger destroyed millions of lives. Britain and France endured through empire, naval power, and supplies purchased from the still neutral United States. Blockaded Germany faced severe shortages, yet its leaders still believed one bold gamble could force victory quickly. President Woodrow Wilson promised neutrality, reflecting an American public divided by ancestry, trade, and fear. Neutrality weakened as U-boats attacked shipping and American banks, factories, and trade supported the Allies. In January 1917, Germany resumed unrestricted submarine warfare, risking American ships, cargo, and civilian lives. German leaders believed submarines could starve Britain before the United States built an army strong enough to matter. British codebreakers intercepted the Zimmermann telegram, exposing Germany's proposal for Mexico to attack America. Germany suggested Mexico might recover Texas, New Mexico, and Arizona, turning the telegram into a national outrage. As American merchant ships sank, Wilson decided armed neutrality could no longer protect the nation's rights at sea. On April 2, 1917, Wilson asked Congress for war, saying democracy and world peace now required American action. For days later, America declared war on Germany, entering a conflict for which its small army was unprepared. The Selective Service Act created a vast draft, sending millions of American men into new military camps nationwide. Factories produced rifles, trucks, aircraft, uniforms, and shells, while Liberty bonds financed mobilization at scale. Propaganda sold the war as a defense of civilization, while critics faced censorship, suspicion, and prison at home. American destroyers joined convoy duty, escorting ships and sharply reducing losses from German submarines at sea. General John Pershing insisted American troops fight as their own army, not simply fill gaps in Allied units in France. American doughboys arrived in France with fresh manpower, supplies, confidence, and the promise of more troops. Russia's withdrawal let Germany shift experienced divisions westward for one final major offensive early in 1918. In March 1918, German storm troops broke through Allied lines and advanced farther toward Paris than ever before. But German forces outran supplies, suffered enormous losses, and failed to turn their gains into final victory. At Cantigny, Château-Thierry, and below Wood, American troops proved they could withstand veteran German units. At Below Wood, United States Marines attacked through machine gun fire, building a legend of courage and sacrifice. In July, Allied forces stopped Germany at the Second Battle of the Marne and began driving the enemy backward. Amiens opened the 100 Days Offensive, combining tanks, aircraft, artillery, and infantry with new precision. At Saint-Mihiel, American forces erased a German salient and showed the growing strength of Pershing's army in battle. Then came Meuse-Argonne, America's largest operation, pinning German divisions during the final Allied advance. Germany's army was still fighting, but it was retreating, exhausted, under strength, and short of weapons and food. At home, blockade brought hunger, fuel shortages, sickness, and anger into German cities after 4 hard years. Germany's allies collapsed in sequence. Bulgaria, the Ottoman Empire, and finally Austria-Hungary also withdrew. Hindenburg and Ludendorff told the government the war was lost and an armistice had to be requested immediately. Germany appealed to Wilson, hoping his 14 points would bring a moderate, honorable peace settlement after war. At Kiel, German sailors mutinied rather than sail into a final and seemingly suicidal battle against Britain at sea. The mutiny spread into revolution as workers' and soldiers' councils appeared and imperial authority collapsed. On November 9th, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated, and a German republic was proclaimed amid confusion and unrest at home. Civilian leaders inherited the burden of ending a war that Germany's military chiefs no longer wished to own publicly. At Compiègne, German delegates faced armistice terms demanding evacuation, disarmament, and vast surrender of equipment. The armistice was signed before dawn on November 11th, but the ceasefire would begin only at 11 that morning. Even in the final hours, soldiers died in attacks ordered after commanders already knew the war was ending that day. At 11 o'clock, the guns fell silent, replaced by bells, cheers, disbelief, grief, and exhausted relief at last. The armistice stopped the fighting, but armies remained mobilized while diplomats prepared a permanent peace in Europe. In Paris, victorious leaders gathered with competing goals: security, compensation, self-rule, empire, and territory. Wilson promoted his 14 points and a League of Nations, hoping collective security could prevent another war. Clemenceau demanded protection from Germany, while Lloyd George balanced punishment against European stability. Germany was excluded from negotiations and later received terms its delegates believed were imposed, not agreed. On June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles formally ended the war between Germany and the Allied powers in Europe. Germany lost territory, colonies, military strength, and the right to station forces inside the Rhineland after war. Its army was limited to 100,000 men, with no conscription, military aircraft, or submarines at all. Article 231 placed responsibility for war damages on Germany and its allies, supporting future reparations payments. Many Germans saw the treaty as humiliation because the new republic accepted it under threat of renewed war again. The treaty created the League of Nations, but the United States Senate rejected membership and refused ratification. Empires vanished, borders shifted, new states appeared, and minority communities were divided by new frontiers. The war strengthened American finance, weakened European power, and energized anti-colonial movements worldwide. Weimar democracy faced violence, reparations disputes, inflation, and the poisonous myth that traitors caused defeat. The Great Depression brought mass unemployment and despair, allowing extremists to attack democracy and promise renewal. Hitler exploited anger over Versailles, fear of communism, and the false claim that Germany had been betrayed. Nazi Germany rearmed, restored conscription, remilitarized the Rhineland, and tested whether Europe would resist. Versailles did not alone cause World War II, but its failures and resentments became tools of aggressive nationalism. World War I ended in silence, Yet its unresolved borders, ideologies, and grievances shaped conflicts for generations.